He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sports for the next 4 seasons on Sun Coaches podcast. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X at Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 4, and today probably got 2 people in this business that are like big brothers to me. One of them's David Thrower. The other one is today's guest, Coach Lee Hamner, the OC at Pacelli. Thanks for being on with us.
Thank you for having me, Coach. Yeah, we go way back, and it's a pleasure. I'm glad you got this thing started out here, and it's been a big hit, I think, amongst the coaches, and people love to listen to it. I know I listen to them, and it's amazing what you learn, about different situations, different coaches, and stuff that you wouldn't know. So I think it's a testament to you of what you're doing out here for this, for high school coaches and just people in general.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, Coach, I know you grew up in Alabama, so you went to high school in Alabama, right?
Yeah, I went to high school in a small town in Alabama, and then I got on out of there and went on to college, and then I spent a little time in college, and then I rolled on, and it was time to go find my first job.
And where was your first job?
Well, you know, uh, when I was looking, I was planning on staying in the state of Alabama. I really was, but I got fortunate enough that I got a call and from still a very still a good friend of mine. Guy named Rusty Gaines was the head coach at Ware County in Waycross, Georgia, and when I looked there and it said Waycross, that meant way across from where I live. I mean, way across. So I can I can remember looking up and telling my folks, I said, I'm going down to Waycross, Georgia to interview for a job. And I looked up, and that was before they'd done all the highways and everything, 4 lanes and stuff and all that through there. I said, next time I looked up, I said, man, it's about 5.5 hours down here. And so, but got down there and I don't know, just something about the place and something about Coach Gaines. But he gave me my first opportunity, and we were, back then there was 2 schools. There was Ware County and Waycross. Ware County County School, Waycross City School. Waycross was the big dog on the block, and but and it was a big time rivalry. But I always tell people all the time, rivalries are only good if the other team, if the only team ever wins. If one team always wins, it ain't much of a rivalry. And
Yeah.
yeah, so when we got down there, and I can remember because a lot of these coaches been in it as long as I have, and far longer than I have. Remember the days of the millimeter projections, where you got to splice the film and all this, and that's where you're watching film off of. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, Coach, you got that film in slow motion? He says, no, Coach, that thing's running speed. I said, oh, we slow. But, through hard work and we had a great staff together. I mean, we did a lot of things together and got along great. And yeah, it took us a while to build it, but we ended up the last time that Ware County and Waycross played each other as two separate schools, we came out on top, that year, and we were 9-0 that year, and that's back when they didn't take but one team to the playoffs. I don't, people now you get four, but back then it was just one, and we're 9-0, and Camden County is 9-0, and we're meeting and we're having to go to Camden County, and we're running the spread, and this is back in. I first got in, I think it was 87, and this might have been in, I don't know, 91, 92. I can't remember the exact year and stuff like that, but I think Luther Welch was coaching at Camden, and they had a heck of a football team, and we're running the spread back then. And that was the first time we got in the game, and all of a sudden, my quarterback throws a pick, and we come back, and we ain't got nothing to go over there. You either see it with your own eyes, or you got to listen to somebody else tell you, because there wasn't no huddle sidelines, and you know, you better have some people in the box that can see too. And and the a defensive end picked it off, and I'm sitting there going, "What is this?" They were running zone blitz back then. And so, Camden got us, and we get 9-1 and get knocked out, can't get in the playoffs. And we got a pretty good football team. I mean, that came a long ways from where we started. But like I said, I spent 10 years down at Ware County, in Waycross, Georgia.
And y'all consolidated after that, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had to go. I went through that.
I bet that was fun.
Yeah, that was an experience in itself. But I got to coach with a great, Hall of Fame guy in Dale Williams, and truly just a absolute phenomenal, football coach, and some great guys on that staff. And when we, merged the two schools together, I can assure you, practices were, sometimes it looked like boxing matches. And you can imagine, you got two rival schools that don't like each other, and trying to mesh that together. And then we were in the region with Valdosta and Lowndes and Tifton and Moultrie. And, it was tough, but, we beat Lowndes, and we played Valdosta tough, and we had some good games, and we competed. And then Coach Williams decided that he would retire. Coach Gaines was still the AD. He stayed on. He was the AD, and we got another coach in, and I stayed there a year. And I just, I'd been the coordinator, and then I lost the coordinator job because some other coach comes in, wants to bring in, that's the way business is. But I wanted to, so I stayed 1 year, and then I left there and headed to Westover and Albany, Georgia. And, I got to meet interesting people there. Hugh Mill. I don't know if people know about Hugh Mill Stadium, but it's a different place to play. And but I did get the experience of coaching basketball with one of the big legends of all time in Willie Boston. What a great guy. I think he won 6 state championships, and we happen to be I happen to get to be a part of one, and get to coach one with him, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Just learning. At one time I said, hey, I might want to be a basketball coach. I just, but I went a different route and said, hey, I want to spend my time with, weights and football, and it goes back to being at Ware County, where back then you coached 3 sports. Football. I coached football, wrestling, and baseball under some really good guys. I mean, James Conley was a baseball coach at Ware County. I think everybody, if they go back and look in baseball, for a lot of people know James Conley. I mean, he was a you know, pretty good big deal legend in baseball. I mean, did a lot of good things, and so
Well, when you were in Albany, that's when you and Coach O were real good buddies, aren't you?
oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
he
We
was
were
down
big
there,
buddies.
right?
Right, he was the AD, and oh yeah, we Coach Orgel. We'd go over there. We'd have a lot of conversations over there, and he'd talk about big Georgia football and all this kind of stuff, and but just the camaraderie and the meeting, and I liked it there. I just uh, enjoyed it, and probably would have stayed longer. I really would, but sometimes phone calls happen, certain circumstances call you away, and you got to kind of make the decision because I just had my youngest son Hampton, and so we were making a decision then whether to um, stay or get closer back to where she's from because she was from Waycross, Georgia at that time. Uh, um, so we decided to get a call one day, and hindsight 2020, but I decided to do that and make another move. So it's like we talk all the time. It sounds like Coach Hamner always would. He, he's two men in a truck from from making another move, and but we make a move and we moved back to Waycross, Georgia. But I take a job at Brantley County. Brantley County, and I don't know how many people know where the Blue Herons is and Nate Hunter, Georgia is, but I tell you what, the the year I spent there was unique, and I've heard some other coaches talk about it. I think everybody's got a story that they talk about in
What was that
some of
boy's
the
name
places.
that you coached down there? Bobby Jack or Buddy Jack or what was that? Or he had a hog named. Tell the story about
Oh
the
yeah,
the man
yeah.
boy with the pig that you took home.
Yeah, well, being a buddy of mine, and he's still, we're still friends to this day, and he's a principal of a 5A school. He went back, when we got through down there, he went back to his hometown. I'm not going to say what school, but we're still friends. We still talk to this day, but back then down there, we had to take some kids home sometimes, and so I had an offensive lineman, and we called him Hog Nuts. So Hog Nuts gets in the vehicle with us, and we get in the truck, and we ride, and I'm like, man, where am I going? I don't know. We just going. He's going. All right, we're gonna go out here. We're gonna hang a right. Next thing I know, we're on a dirt road, and we're riding, and he's talking. He's great kid. I mean, great kid. I mean, there's good kids down there. There really are. And so we pull up, and we're just gonna drop him off. And he gets up and says, "Hey, coaches, y'all got to come around and meet my pig." And we're looking at him, some your pig. He said, "Oh yeah, yeah, you got to meet my pig." And I'm thinking to myself, later on, hell, this was like Varsity Blues. And everybody watched the Varsity Blues movie. You'll know what I'm talking about. If you hadn't watched Varsity Blues, you need to go. You need to go see it because it kind of makes sense to you. So we get out of the truck, and we walk around to the back of his place, and we out in the middle of nowhere. And we walk down there to the pen. I look back there. Oh, pen, oh, big pig. I mean, big pig. That pig laying down in the slop, the mud. He done buried up down in there. He's having a good time down in there. I said, yeah, that's pretty pig, I reckon. I don't know a whole lot about the pigs, but I know about the smell. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's a nice looking pig you got there. He said, Coach, y'all got to see this. I said, oh, Lord, here we go. He said, watch me call him up. I said, go call him up. He said, oh, yeah, I got him trained. He's like my pet. I mean, he's like one of the family. I'm like, okay. So next thing I know, here he goes. He starts whistling. He's going, come here, Horny Jack. The pig's name was Horny Jack. So, next thing I know, he done whistled a few times and hollered at Horny Jack. Horny Jack done eased up out the mud. Horny Jack done come up to the fence. He said, Coach, y'all reach down there and give old Horny Jack a kiss. I said, Hog Nuts, I think I'm going to pass on that. But I'm telling you what, that's one of the most impressive things I've seen in a while. I'm like, hey, that's great. I mean, I love you, Hog Nuts. And hey, now I like Horny Jack, but I don't think I'm fixing to kiss Horny Jack. So we tell him, we say, Hog Nuts, we'll see you tomorrow at practice. I'm glad you got you home safely. Should we get back in the truck? Me and our coach said, well, we got to get out of here now. I mean, I don't know where we at. I mean, you always got stories if you ever been down to Bradley County and good folks. I mean, there's some people that were down there that I coached with that were in administration down there that, hey, still to this day, I still talk to, and we still talk about some stories that you can't tell, and you don't need to tell. But it was just a unique place. But it was one of those that you move for you move for your family. But it was my thing was I'm trying to climb the ladder. I'm trying to get where I want to go. And then sometimes you make the right decision, sometimes you make the wrong decision. So I was there, and then I get a call from, which is still I wouldn't take nothing in the world for not getting a chance to meet him and get a chance to work for him. And the same thing. You got a chance to work for him too. And got a call from Coach Bobby McAllister. And what a great guy. I mean, just super individual. And so we go to Worth County, and boy, do we have a staff.
That's where we met.
Right. We got a staff. We got, just to name a few, but we got Neil Roberts, a.k.a. Rambo, and we got, Jeff Littleton's on that staff, now is who's head coach at Tifton. And we got, a guy named that was called Peanut. It was built like,
He played down there, Nathaniel Curry.
Yeah, I mean, but one thing I found out and going up, coming up through that age, through that range of coaching back then, there wasn't any coach, you need to, if you can, get ready and go to the clinic. No, it was, here's when we going to the clinic, and here's when we leaving. And here you need to make sure you're ready to go. There wasn't no questions asked. It was, let's go. And that's just the way it was. And I think that was a great thing. I mean, I wouldn't take anything for those clinics. And back, I remember, before I get in that story about, clinic we went to at Worth, I can remember even when I first got in, before I went to this certain clinic, we'd roll in there and there'd be 600, football coaches in that clinic. And then you look over there and there'd be 400 or 500 cheerleading coaches in the clinic. I mean, there'd be over 1,000 people in clinics, which was great. I mean, it was a time for you. Yeah, was people talking football or talking whatever they want to do, cheerleading, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that went on. But the beauty of it was you got to meet people, you got to network people, you got to go and do things together. And I wouldn't give that I'm glad I got to experience all that. I think that's what some of the things now that are missing with the way things are now. Everybody now is sitting around trying to figure out how to outwork everybody all the time. And instead of saying, okay, we're going to take this time out as a coaching staff and we're going to go up here and, hey, we're going to have a good time. But I'll never forget, we're at Worth. And Coach Max told us that, we got to, we're leaving. So, and I don't remember what part of Atlanta it is. I can't remember that part, but we drive up to the clinic and I look on the billboard out there and it says, welcome, the GACA, football, cheerleaders, whatever, clinic. And then right below it, it says, and welcome to the Swingers Convention. Well, me coming, I coming out, from a small town, and I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I think I'm pretty smart, but I ain't real smart. But I don't even know what swingers means. I ain't crossed my mind. But I said, okay, well, swingers convention.
Till we walked around to the pool, we figured it out.
Oh yeah. I mean, so the first thing you did, let's go up there and get checked into the hotel room, and we'll make our way down to the pool. Well, we get a phone call, and Coach Mike is down. He's already made it to the pool.
Yeah, I was his driver.
Right. So you'd got him down there to the pool, and he said, Coach, y'all got to get down here. And I said, what's going on? He said, you just got to come on down here. So I said, I'll be down there, Coach, shortly. So get my stuff, ease down there to the pool, and I've got some other guys I know. Coach Burns, who was then the running backs coach at Clemson University, was there, and I knew all those guys that coached at Clemson and stuff, and saw him. And so when I saw him, I was walking, and I kept looking. I said, "Ah, dog, this woman's over here with this guy." Well, 2 minutes later, I look around, and hell, that guy's over here with this woman, and this woman's over here with this guy. And I'm sitting there going, man, this strange. I look over at Coach McAllister. He done fired him up a cigar, and he's kicked back. He's he just enjoying life. So walk toward the back there, and I sit there with Coach Burns, and we standing there talking. And next thing I know, in comes one of these ladies. She got the leopard skin bathing suit on now. I mean, and got the heels and all this kind of stuff. And she got that strut walk coming through. So, and she walks up to us and she says, sure is a lot of men down here this weekend. Are y'all here for the swingers convention? I said, ma'am, I don't know exactly what the swingers convention is. I'm here for the football clinic and stuff going on here and the festivities. She said, well, there is a lot of festivities that go on at the swingers convention up on the 5th floor. So we sit back and we don't pay a whole lot more attention, but we noticing the stuff at the pool. Well, so we get out of there and it comes that night. And I think we go out somewhere, we go to eat and whatever. And some of us decided, we said, well, we're going to check this out. Well, we done hit the elevator floor. I didn't know we were trying to get in Fort Knox. Since we popped off that elevator, man, it looked like, it looked like they had 24 bouncers everywhere going, hold it. I don't believe y'all making it up in here to the swingers convention. And one of the coaches said, You mean we can't come? I said, no, you ain't got no partner with you. I said, we ain't got no partner. He said, no, y'all ain't got no partner, so y'all ain't going to be no swinging tonight. So it took me a little while to finally everybody sit down and explain exactly what the swingers convention was. But I can tell you this, the next day you could tell, because ain't no telling what went on the fifth floor that night in the swingers convention, boy, because I know it was a throwdown. And there was probably stuff thrown from the ceiling to the floor.
And that was my very first clinic ever.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I'd been to some clinics because I'd been in it a little while, but I didn't ever knew that. But yeah, that was a classic right there. Let's have all the football coaches at the Swingers Convention Clinic, and I'll never forget that. All the times, and just that was just a fun time right there. And so, but as you chase things, Coach, you understand, and so everything was about trying to get to be a head coach, and so after Worth, it's the Turner County thing came open, and Kevin Giddens, he interviewed and I interviewed, and I don't know who else interviewed. I really don't, but you know, Coach Giddens, and bless his soul, I love that man, and I hate that he's gone from us today because they took a good one from us, and but he gets the head job, I get the AG job. Well, that's fine. We can work it together. Well, I'm sitting in there, so I'm working on figuring out, all the AD stuff, and he's working on the head football stuff, and then of course we're coordinating football stuff and everything. And it ain't 2 weeks later, Coach Giddens says he's going back to Moultrie. I think he gets the AD job down at Moultrie. So he leaves. Next thing I know, here it is. Coach Hamner, you got the head coaching job and the AD job. Well, you always think you're prepared and you know, for things and stuff like that. And I think in some ways I was, and some ways I wasn't. I don't know. I don't regret not taking that job and not doing it. I think I tried to do my best that I could, and there was some good things that we did, but in the long run, it just it didn't work. And you try to you try to move and learn from those those things, and when you get hired, by your superintendent, and you get hired by your principal, and then the next thing you know, within a year, they're gone. And now you have a whole new system. And yeah, it's like my dad always said, if you're winning every game, you pretty much could probably do what you want to do. But when you're kind of trying to play, 500 ball, that may not be good enough. And so things just happened, and it just didn't work out. It
Didn't
was
work out.
time.
That's when you headed to, that's when you got with Crowder up at Chattahoochee, wasn't it?
That's when I went with Crowder up to Chattahoochee, and me and Crowder were, we were going up every weekend. Every weekend we'd leave and we'd go up, and I'll never forget. We'd always ride by, and there was this home, and that's a different world. I mean, I'm I'm from a small town in Alabama, which still has its good things. I mean, small towns are good things too. I mean, I take nothing from growing up where I grew up from. And then I've been in some other towns, but I've always been in the South, South Georgia. Well, now I'm up in Alpharetta, Georgia, where, things are a lot different. And so we're rolling up and we're trying to get things together, but we come by this house And I always look at Coach Crowder and say, Coach, pull it over. Just pull the Jeep over. And he said, well, what you want to do? I said, I said, look at the man's yard. He got a whole hole on the yard. And we're looking at it. He's got about 100, I bet it's 135 yard golf shot from tee box to green. He got a tee box, got a fairway to the green. I said, I just want to hit it one time.
And this ain't no golf course. This is the man's yard.
This is the man's yard.
Oh, okay.
It's in the back. Yeah, it's in the back there. I said, I just want to hit it one time. He said, what are you going to do, hit it from the road out here? I said, no, if you just park long enough, I said, I'll run down there and see if I can play it. He said, no, Coach, no, we ain't going to jail up here in Alpharetta now. So I always wanted to stop by. I just wanted to hit just one shot back then. But we didn't ever do that. But we had we had some good some times up there and met some good people, and along the way found out. But when you're from the South Georgia and stuff, and you used to think that's the only school I think I've ever been at that I set an alarm clock for. Because I knew if I didn't leave at this time, I wasn't going to get to school on time because the traffic was going to get me. And I wasn't like I lived, 20 minutes from the school. I wasn't probably 5 miles from the school, technically, but five miles can turn into 45 minutes, hour. So if I didn't leave at a certain time, I'd be late. And so that was one of the first places I probably ever set my alarm and said, oh, I've got to go. You got to be prepared up there. But after, and that was still back when 400 had the toll bridge. And always, every time I'd go down through that, I said, man, y'all just give me a month's worth of this toll bridge right here. I probably can go ahead and retire now. But, well, nobody ever pitched me none of them quarters out of there I'm throwing in there every day, but it was a good experience up there, and learned some things up there and about that. But basically, I call it, it's the concrete jungle. I mean, it
ain't for us.
Just right. It was it was fast and like I said, I had some good people up there that looked after me, and I had one place that I always loved to go in and eat, a restaurant, and a guy that I knew, and man, he could make anything. He's a great chef, and I'd go in there and frequently stay in there a lot and that kind of stuff. But that was just those 2 years. I think it's 2 years up there. A lot of things went on, in my life that, and we're not going to get into all that, but when you lose a lot of things that went on, I mean, I lost my son because you took me to Thomasville. You remember when I called you that day on the phone?
Yeah, never forget it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm up in Chattahoochee I'm passing somewhere, I can't remember, but I was by Dairy Queen when I got the phone call that, my wife at the time and my two boys had been in a wreck, and nobody would kind of, tell me, but, I was kind of like, so the first person I called was you. I said, pick me up on that
400,
right there on
300,
400.
30, it was at 300.
300. Pick me up.
Me and Rachel, I came and got you when we went.
Yeah. And I said, and I'd called a buddy of mine, Blake Christian. Blake Christian's still in Turner County. And I said, Blake, you need to call every state patrol guy everybody and tell them, say, listen, this red avalanche ain't stopping for nobody. I got to be in Thomasville, Georgia. So we rolled there, and that was
it was
a shock.
Bad. It was rough.
It was bad. It was bad.
So you got to reset from Chattahoochee.
Well, that
After
after
Chattahoochee, you just had to reset because there was so much bad. I mean, there was our
yeah,
whole little group right there had a bad year,
yeah, yeah. I
bad
mean,
2 years.
I lose my son. Then in the same, it wasn't probably as close to it wasn't a year later. I lost my brother at the same time. You know, he gets killed, and so I'm just kind of all discombobulated, function and stuff, and plus I'm I'm up and everything. So I get out of there and I make a couple of stops in between and kind of just try to get back. I mean, all I could do was pour myself into, the work and coaching and stuff like that. Like, there's some games I don't even remember coaching when I was up at Chattahoochee. I really don't. And that's the honest truth. But I'm not making excuses for myself or anything. I'm just saying that. I mean, that was the truth. It was a hard time, but it went on, and so you just kind of tighten the belt up and say, okay, I've got to go on and move on. And so there was a couple stops, and then I get the call from a guy that, I mean, it just means the world to me. I mean, it just, we had met, we'd never coached, we coached against each other, but we'd never coached together. And he makes a phone call. We had met when I was coaching wrestling back all the way back when I was at Ware County. Because, we used to coach wrestling, we'd go to all the tournaments, best hospitality rooms around. I mean, people really went out of their way, hospitality rooms back then in wrestling, but we had a good time in those, and we were pretty good. We had a pretty good wrestling team those years in Ware County. But Coach Jones, Dwight Jones, called me on the phone and said, "Coach, I'm fixing to take a job at Jones County High School," and I'm like, "I know where that is." And he said, "I want you to come down here and be my uh, in the weight room and be my OC and stuff." And in fact, that probably where I really got my start at in this business. What was through the weight room. I mean, people didn't really know Coach Hamner through the all the coaching stuff. They knew him through the weight room, and so I made the trip down, and thankful. God blessed me with that, with getting with Coach Jones, and we came into Jones County, and whoa, it was it was it was pretty bad at the time. I mean, it really was, and we knew we had a lot of work to do, but we got it, and we started building. I mean, we just started working and building and stuff like that, and we finally got it where you know we got Jones County, we got the playoffs, and I still believe to this day, and people don't think that they always all these guru coaches and everything that coach in some of these places that got a bunch of players, you know, uh, they always holler next man up. Well, next man up may not always work sometimes in some schools. I mean, really not. And, we really thought we had a real good chance. And our running back, you know, crazy incident, gets hit in the parking lot on a Thursday by a car, and so he's out, and we get beat, but we did we helped build Jones County back and had a good run. I mean, really did under some different, circumstances you know, that happens. And so, when Coach Jones decided that he wanted to leave and go to Harris County, uh, he gets up, and of course, there's not a position for me at Harris, so um, we sit back and figure out the best scenario to do and that kind of stuff. And so that led me to, well, in fact, that year in which, like I said, it's funny how in some ways that, you know, you think that you don't always know why things happen, but I always believe now from being around Coach Jones so long, you know, and he says it all the time that God has a plan, and I really believe that. But we always had a saying, hold the rope. I mean, that was one of his big things, still is today. And if anybody in the world right now, you know, would hold the rope for each other, me and Coach Jones hold the rope for each other. I mean, we could be dangling off the mountaintop and we would hold until we just couldn't hold any longer. And that's the way we are. And that's the way we'll always be. And I'm just so thankful that, I got a chance to, work with him then at Jones County. And like I said, he leaves. And then out of the blue, I have no idea where this came from, but, all of a sudden I'm having this, you know, vertigo stuff going on and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is rough. Well, it turns out that it's what we call Meniere's disease. And I'm not going to go explain what that is. Somebody wants to look that up, go look that up. Just hope you never have it. And so I kind of had to sit out a year to get that together. And thank goodness that Jones County looked after me and let me stay and keep teaching. And so finally we got it under control, but you can't cure it. You can get it. We got it under control through diet. And so from there, I left and went to Putnam County. And, I hear coaches talk all the time that they get the fortunate, opportunity. If you get this opportunity, you got to cherish it. I don't know that's probably one thing that I would do better. I think if I had another opportunity to do it, I would do better. But, when I got there, my son was a junior and we were successful at Putnam and made the playoffs that first year. And we had to run into that juggernaut of Fitzgerald, but, hey, we got in the playoffs. But I was having an opportunity to get to coach my son. And so I got to coach him for 2 years. And if I had to do it over, I think I would have tried to be more of a dad than I would have coach. I couldn't ever turn the coaching part off. That was the hard part. I mean, I couldn't figure out how to finagle it. I was always talking about, coaching and football and what you need to do this, what you do this, instead of saying, hey, son, I'm proud of you for what you're doing and blah, 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 so and so. So, if I had something to change, probably with that part, I would probably try to do a better job of being a father off the field instead of a coach 24/7. Because I know that's tough on the kid anyway. When you coach, when your dad's coaching, they think you got favoritism and all that, which I don't think I ever had that. I just don't believe that. But I think I could have done a better job of being a father off the field instead of just being a coach most of the time. And but I enjoyed it. I wouldn't take nothing for not getting a chance to coach my son. Um, he gets a chance when we get through, and he's going to go play at Huntington. Well, I'm going to retire, and so I, discussed it with my wife, which I've got one. Everybody says this, but I've got one of the best wives that anybody could ever have. I really do. I mean, as far as you know, you know, taking care of everything, looking at it, and as a true true coach's wife. I mean, she understands the game. I mean, somebody that would watch film with you and just be a part of it. I mean, that is huge. I mean, if you don't have that, it's hard in this business. And but she was always went beyond, above and beyond of the call, and right beside me. Never, it's never. And we've been married now. I think 13 years now. She's never missed a game. Never missed a game, and always been part of it. I mean, she's always been part of these kids, and that's just super to have. I mean, I can't thank her enough of ever for being that particular, supportive wife and stuff like that, and being supportive of all these kids. I mean, it's just thank. And when we left, Jones to Putnam, we moved up, and we lived on the lake, moved up to Lake Sinclair, and because that had gone, Meniere's had gone into remission. Well, my doctor said it could always come back. Well, hey, felt good. I was fine. Hey, it's gone. Well, when I retired, they gave me I'll never forget. I walked in, and uh, back at the meeting, and the old principal was sitting there and looked up. He had me a whole big shine, and it looked like one of those sitting out there just polished up at Cracker Barrel. One of them pretty white chairs, and they sit out, where Cracker Barrel is. Y'all go, everybody go to Cracker Barrel, go sit in a rocking chair. But he got one of those rocking chairs, and he's got happy retirement on it. I said, oh, yeah, great. Man, I love it. I brought it home. I don't even think I got no dust on my pants. Because the next day I get a call, the coach in, Putnam County and stuff like that. But when I, retired from Putnam County, like I said, I don't even think I got no dust on my seat. Because the next day I was going down to private school in Fullerton Academy, and took the job down in Fullerton Academy, and which is, a little ways from Eatonton, Georgia. So had to have me a place down there. But I'll never forget going in Fulton Academy, and just a small place, nice place down there, and right there where Vienna, Georgia is, and stuff, Pinehurst, Georgia. And, you know, I got a chance to get back with an old guy that coached with me before, and got him out to come and help me. And then I had a former player that was at Jones County that came and helped me. And then also I got a chance because my son was, getting ready to go to Huntington to play football, but he got a chance that summer to coach with me. So I got a chance to, coach him, and I got a chance to let him coach with me, and that was huge. But I never forget walking in Fulton Academy gym. I said, "Man, this reminds me of Hoosiers, the movie, the movie Hoosiers." I mean, I'm like, man, this is something. Man, this is different, and but no, we we had I had 20 players, and that was the year that when I took that job, that we had a good football team. We really did. We were successful, but come playoffs, they made everybody play against everybody. It sort of be like in Georgia high school, let's throw everybody in the pool, whether you're single A or 6A, and let's play everybody against everybody, And so, we win first round, win second round, and all of a sudden, next round, we look up and we're playing in a school. We got 20 players, and they got 55. And, you know, we played good for a while. We hung around for about a half or so, and a little bit in the third, and then it just kind of took over. I mean, and they got us, but I liked it. I mean, I was even able. I never thought, I had my bulldogs were real young back then, and shoot, I'd take my bulldog. He'd go down there and stay with me. I'd take him to the basketball game. I mean, I had the Bulldogs sitting in the basketball game up in the stands. I mean, where can you do that at? I mean, just great. The AD down there, basketball coach, is a good friend of mine now. I mean, the AD who was the AD then, uh, she works over at a school in public school. She was great. It was great. And I really thought, and hey, I would stay down there again. Well, you know how it goes. You know, my headmaster left, and we're going to bring in somebody else, and they don't kind of see eye to eye with what you want to be doing and how it wants to be done. And this is the way it needed to be done. We were successful, and we can be successful again. We had pretty much the whole team coming back, and a few pieces we needed to fix, but I really thought I was going to stay, and but just couldn't find the right fits to make it happen with the new administration. So that's when my buddy Paul Carroll, uh, we've been in the same circles a long time. Coach Carroll gets the head job at Howard High School in Macon. And he calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, Coach, what you going to do?" I said, "Well, Coach, I'm working on that decision now." And he said, "Well, if you decide, I want you to come with me to Howard." And, things led to things. And so packed my stuff up, came back to the lake up at Eatonton, and went on in there and went 49% with Coach Carroll. And what a great defensive coordinator he is. I mean, he knows his stuff, and he let me come in and do the weight room, run the offense, and we got in the playoffs, and we just kept working. But it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle, and but we did some good things over there. We accomplished some things that hadn't been done, and I don't know if they'll be done again over there. I don't know that. Maybe it will, maybe it's not. So I rolled along through the Howard for a few years, and then you know, going through like we all did, the COVID hit, and that's a experience in itself. How to manipulate through that. We all sitting around going, "Hey, I don't, we can't even drink out the same water bottle. How we, hey, we got the. I thought I was working for a pest control company. We're spraying down the weight room. Look like look like we dressed up like Ghostbusters. We spraying the weight equipment, the benches. I mean, it's sanitized. I mean, it's everything. You over there trying to coach out there, and it's 100 degrees, and you got a mask on. I mean, it's just different. But I think some of the things that came out of it, from football and people who had to go through it and experience it, and probably learn some things from it. I mean, how you can do things different ways, because you really did have to adapt and do those things. So I don't know. I stayed there with Coach Carroll. I think I was there 3 years with him, and then all of a sudden, uh, and I got to tell this story, and if Coach Carroll's ever on your podcast, I hope he don't tell it, but I'm gonna tell it before he tells it, because he'll be going, "Uh, I got him." I decided to go fishing with Coach Carroll down on, I think it's Keaton. So we going fishing. Well, I didn't grow up fishing, and I didn't grow up hunting, and I grew up playing golf and stuff like that, and sports. But we going fishing, and we out there fishing for, I think they call it sea trout. We fish trout. Well, we fishing. Well, I ain't paying a whole lot of attention because we got these poles stuck up. They got those swivel hooks on them and stuff. And so we're casting out and casting out. We're catching fish. I mean, we're catching this fun. I mean, it's fun. Fast as we can go for about 30, 45 minutes and stuff. So all of a sudden I throw it out there. I think I got a fish on the hook and that thing's pulling and I ain't paying attention. Next thing I know, I cross by and I go, oh, so one of them old barbs had done stuck me in the top of the ear and went through the ear. So Coach Carroll sat there on the boat. It just me and him. I said, Coach, you got to get in. We got to go. I said, man, this thing is killing me. I'm stuck with a lure in my ear. I already got a permanent, I got an ear piercing. I ain't even got an earring. So he cried. So we start riding in. And I'm sitting in the seat holding, he done cut the lure, the string. So I'm holding it in one hand. And I'm like, man, I bet I'm 3 shades white now. So it's hurting, man. So we pull up in the canal. He sees this guy and he says, hey, you got any wire cutters? I said, hold on a minute, Coach. We going to the hospital. We ain't going out to the backyard to do no surgery. We going to the hospital. He said, oh no, we're gonna be all right. Hold on. So he pulls up, old guy said, man, you caught a big one, didn't you? I said, yeah, about 200 pounds worth myself. So he's sitting there. He said, yeah, I got 2 of them. So he got a big grip, big wire cutter, and a small wire cutter. So Coach Carroll sitting there going, hey, we ain't got to go. I can get it out. I said, Coach, you cut my ear off. I said, I'm in trouble. I said, I can't already hear hardly out of the other one ear. I said, now I ain't going to hear out of this one. He said, oh, you got to trust me. I said, all right, Coach. I don't know what you finna do. So next thing I know, he got the big wire cutters out. And I'm thinking, oh. So I hear him go, pop. So he gets that done. He said, now hold on, now don't move. I got the little ones out. I'm fixing to pop that barb through your ear. And it's at the top. It's right through the cartilage and all up there. I said, okay. So next thing I know, he gets them little wire cutters out. He said, now listen, that thing gonna hurt a little bit now because I got to pop it back through. I'm thinking, okay. He pops that thing back through. That put me on fire. He said, Coach, you ready to go back out fishing? I said, no, you taking me back to the cabin. I'm fit to go sit down. I said, I can't go fishing no more today. I said, I'm done. I'm done fishing. I said, I can't handle this. So, we get through that and what a great time, I mean, you look back on it and you got to laugh and stuff like that. But so that goes. And then, for the last 4 years, Coach Jones calls me up and says, "Hey, come down here and see me at Pacelli High School in Columbus, and go down there and meet with him and some other guys and stuff like that." And we work out a great deal. I mean, great thing. Where I just go and coach football, and June to whenever we get through, and then I'm back home. And so that first year, we were in public, we were in private public, and we got in the second round. I think second, third round, got put out, and then the next year, they changed the rules on us and put it where you had to have a school zone for where you would be. And ours, they put, we didn't have no kids live in that zone. So we wouldn't even had no athletics if we hadn't had to change, we had to change. So we go to the GIA and which is still to me, football's football. Football, is still good football. And we've had a successful run, and whether Coach Jones decides that he's going to give it up, I don't know that. I think he's entitled to decide when he wants to, and if he decides he wants to give it up, then he gives it up. And by the way, after that first year, the Meniere's disease came back. So for 2 years, hell, I didn't drive for 2 years. My wife and Coach Jones, we got back and forth to Pacelli and everything, coached, and I could coach and stuff pretty good. And those guys down there looked after me great. And this year was the first year that in 2 years that I'd got back behind the wheel. Now, am I 100%? No, I'll never be 100%. I'm probably 80%, 85. I'm not, probably 80, more 80 and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever, probably won't ever get back to 100, but 80 is better than I was. And I was so glad because I'll never forget my wife finally taught me she said, listen, just go get in that truck and drive to Columbus. You can do it. You can get there. They done killed your ear over there with them shots and stuff and everything, and I think it'll be all right. Well, I can promise you, that day when I got to Columbus, there was handprints stuck on the steering wheel. I was I was gripping that thing like Ricky Bobbitt on Talladega Nights. I mean, I had the death grip on it and stuff like that. But like I said, uh, the good Lord, you get up some days, I mean, and you think back and you go, why did I end up here, or why did they put you with somebody and that kind of stuff, and the more you look back on it, it kind of makes sense. I mean, he put me and Coach Jones back together for a reason, and it was a blessing, and it really has been a blessing, and I love that man to death, and like I said, we will hold the rope for each other forever, and till we ain't on this earth no more. And but that's I've met some great people. I really have been around some great, some real good programs. And like I said, Pacelli, we've had a great run. I don't know if it's over or not. I don't know that. We'll know that January, and he just says he's coming back, then we'll go back. If not, then I'll have to go out here and look and see what I'm going to do next with whoever it is, and hopefully somebody will take me on and let me coach and let me help them out and that kind of stuff right there. But like I said, Lamb, coming up in this business, it you look back and you go, man, I coached there, but we wasn't always successful and we didn't always win. Well, sometimes that ain't what you always need to look at. Sometimes you need to look at the people that you get the chance to meet and that you get a chance to associate with. And sometimes, hey, they friends for life. I mean, it's just like me and you. We've coached together, coached with each other twice. And, we'll be friends for life. And I think that's one thing about this coaching business a little bit different now than it was back then. We spent more time, networking with each other and going to do things together instead of worrying about somebody getting ahead of us all the time. We were going to work. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're going to work as hard as we can, but we were also going to get out here and build some camaraderie with each other and do things like that. I mean, I wouldn't change that for anything. So I look it back and I said, yeah, some of the places that I've been, wasn't as successful as you would hope, but there was a reason why you were there, and and the people that you got to meet in the time was super and special, and I just think that's how you got to look at it now, and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure I am glad that we got together 24, 25, however many, 26 years ago in Worth County, and y'all kind of took me under your wings, you and Stacy Bell especially, and
Oh yeah.
I really do appreciate it and everything you've
Well,
done for me over the years. And
well, like I said, we appreciate what you do out here. I mean, just if somebody wants to know about the job, then call the man a connoisseur. He's in the loop, and now what you're doing now with your podcast and stuff, where coaches can get out here and it ain't all about it's about learning about coaches that you don't know, but you
right,
hear those stories and you go, okay, you appreciate some things because you sit there and because I've done this before, and and now after listening to podcasts, and stuff, and I go, hey, as long as that person is doing the best he can and doing what his job is, no, he may not have all the Jimmys and Joes that he needs, but he's doing the right things. And, because you sit there and you go sometimes and say, oh, man, that's a bad job. We talk about it all the time. That's a bad job. Look under the hood before you take it, and all these things. Well, you may gather something from being at that bad job. You may not win all the time, but you're going to gain something. And I think that's kind of how you have to look at it sometimes, and everything. Everybody wish they could always be on top all the time, but there's a few of them out there. But like you said, there's more coaches that are having to say, okay, let me get to 6 wins. Maybe I get to 7, 8. Let me see if I can get in the playoffs instead of going, man, I already know I'm in the playoffs. Let's just see if we can win it. I mean, every
yeah,
once in a while, I've been fortunate enough to be in part of 3, and yeah, you know, eh, you kind of know when you've got a team that can win it. I mean, you know. Now, do you have to have some breaks along the way? Yes, you always do, and those breaks are gonna come or they don't come, and but there's something to be said, and about all these guys that are willing to go out here and take these jobs and work at it and that kind of stuff. And like I said, I did, after being a head coach and not doing as well as I thought I had, I did get another opportunity to be a head coach again, and we were successful. We had a good run in the playoffs, and I don't have any desire again to be a head coach. I just, I like what I was. I mean, some people are made to be head coaches, and I think some people are made to be, a coordinator or something like that. And then you got to be always, you got to have great, what is the word? You got to have great Indians. I mean, you can't always have chiefs. You got to have a lot of Indians and that are willing to work. And like I said, there's not a lot. There's some things, and every coach will say this, I think, that they would change. But there's a lot of things that you're glad you got to experience and got a chance to be a part of. And like I said, it's been a good business. It's been a good thing. I plan on going a while longer if I can, and we'll just see what happens out here and go from there.
well, sounds good, Coach. I sure do appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Coach, and good luck in the future, and keep this thing rolling. And we'll listen for it.